Ahoy, mateys! It's the Dirty Pirate here. It's ABW Live. My name is Kris. I am your host. You know that by now. I'm joined by Karl. Karl, how you doing?
All good, Christopher. All good.
Good, my friend. Good. No mucking around today. We're straight in. Bang, we're back. Here we are. This is how it's going to be. Welcome to everybody in the chat. I'm not going to name you all, because I don't care. No, I do care. I do. But I'll tell you who I care about more than anybody else. Let you into a little secret, listener. J. Rob and Billy Butler. There's your little cheeky pirate wave. You know why. Ladies and gents, if you want to join the ABW membership, please feel free. Am I going to give you anything for it? Hell no, because I don't really understand. But Danny does all that fancy stuff. So if you want to be like J. Rob and Billy Butler and get a very special piratey wave, then go to the little click join button, watch the video, do all that good stuff, send us all of your monies, and that's it. So there you go. That's the plugging over. If you want to join us, watch it, do it. Right, Karl. Arsenal won, Liverpool won. It's official. Football is back for the 7th time this calendar year or month, or I don't even know anymore. All I know is that it's pretty cold outside all of a sudden. I think summer's done, and apparently football is back. How do you know when football's back? When there's sodding internationals next week. That's when you know football's back. But we're not here to talk about that. Let me get your first impressions, just overall. We won the game 5-4 on penalties, having been 1-0 up, pegged back to 1-1 by the Dirty Bin Dippers, and then we went and won it on pens. Just your initial reaction to the win today.
Major trophy. I believe in the hierarchy, it goes Champions League, Community Shield, then the Premier League. I'm sure that's how it goes, right?
No. It goes Charity Shield, FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League. That's how it works.
Sorry, my bad. Listen, Mourinho said it was a major trophy when he said he won 4 or the triple or whatever it was. I can't remember, but that idiot said. So fuck it. It's a major trophy. Listen, I'm happy that we beat Liverpool. I'm happy that we won the game. Winning breeds success, doesn't it? And it breeds confidence. And at the end of the day, yes, if we lost this game, we would have been like, oh, it's just friendly. But at the end of the day, we've won. We've beaten England's champions, apparently. They're apparently the best team in England, and we beat them twice. Just want to put that out there. So I'm happy. Do you know what? And the performance was quite good, considering we've only been back a week in training. I mean, I know the season's only ended like a month ago. I know players would have gone on holiday. They would have tried to relax, and then they came back, I believe, the start of the week. And, you know, you could tell that the fitness was kind of waning towards the end of the second half. But at the end of the day, we beat Liverpool, major trophy in the cabinet, and it's one more trophy we've got that Spurs haven't got.
Yeah, I tweeted about it. I think I'm right. I did do this quickly, but I think I'm right in saying that if you count the Community Shield as a major trophy, which we've just confirmed that we are, we've won 8 since Spurs last won their last trophy. So good times. God bless Mourinho and all his stupidity. But yeah, we're not, as probably some of you will know, tuning into this season. It's a new season. It's a bit of a new start, new team, new style to how we're going to do things. So we're not going to run through particularly the lineups in any depth. We're not going to go through every single individual chance. We're just going to kind of have a bit of a shoot the breeze kind of podcast. And just a heads up, these will be a lot shorter because, you know, I've got French football to watch. Do you know what I mean? So, but no, in all seriousness, they will be a bit shorter this season. So, Karl, just looking at the lineup, the two probably noticeable things that people picked up on pre-game was one selection in particular and a couple of absentees. No Lacazette, no Pepe. The line from the manager is that they weren't match fit or, you know, weren't quite up to speed. I believe Lacazette is actually still quarantined. I believe Pepe has a slight ankle problem, nothing serious, but enough to sort of not risk him in a game of this lack of significance. And probably the big one, Martinez started in goal ahead of Bernd Leno. Some would say shop window. Others would say speculate. So speculate for me. What do you reckon?
A little from column A, a little from column B. I think that it was a little bit shop window. There's been reports that Chelsea are looking at him. Regions of
I know, but
regions of about 35 mil, if reports are to believe. I personally, listen, I think you need two people in each position competing to try and get in. I don't think there should be a number one and a number two. However, I understand Martinez's situation. He wants to play football. You know, he's had a taste of it now, being the number one, and he's got that taste in his mouth and he wants more of it. So at the end of the day, I can't blame him for not wanting to come back. And if he's not assured or guaranteed if he's not assured playing time, I was going to be the cup keeper or the European keeper. You know, he wants to play in the league. So I can understand. The only thing I'd say if I was Arteta is this season is going to be crazy. So you will probably end up with more game time than you think. If you say to Leno, okay, you will play the 38 league games, but if you say to Martinez, you will play every single cup game, including Europa, he's going to get a fair few amount of games. So, you know, it's these games are going to come thick and fast. It's going to be literally, I think it's almost 3 games a week, some weeks for a long period. Mm-hmm. So you can't play your best team every single week. However, I think he deserves to keep his place. I think if you look on the face of things, how he ended last season, he deserved to keep his place. He won us the FA Cup. He definitely played his part. So for me, I personally would have gone with Leno. I would have gone with Martinez as well.
Yeah, I think just picking up on your point there about the amount of football we've got to play, I think I read it somewhere that there isn't a gap in the midweek calendar until the middle of December. So that gives you an idea of how many games we're going to be playing in such a short space of time. We'll probably cover in more depth on the podcast the debate about the goalkeepers. We'll also probably touch on the manager's press conference yesterday, where he made light of the futures of Nene and Guendouzi and a few others. So we'll keep a powder dry for the podcast with regards to that. We want to keep it really focused on today. For the record as well, I thought Martinez was very good today. Very, very good. If he was in the shop window, made a couple of big saves. Commanded his penalty area very, very well, and generally looked the part. In terms of the performance sort of first half, I thought we outplayed Liverpool in large spells in that first half. We looked good on the counter attack. We looked comfortable in possession. We looked organised. I didn't think they had too much of a threat, and then a certain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang stepped up. Who said he can't play from the left? That was very, dare I say, Henry-esque for that goal. Beautiful piece of play from Saka. Fantastic football to play out from the back once again. So we've seen that a few times now under Arteta. And Aubameyang cut inside and did the rest. He is absolutely vital, isn't he, in terms of this season? We all have a suspicion that he's staying. I have a suspicion it's been done for a while, but that's just my thoughts, or it's just my take on it. But yeah, I mean, brilliant goal, and he's going to be so important for us this season, isn't he? If he is indeed staying.
Yeah, I think he will stay personally myself, because I think by now he would definitely been shopped out, wouldn't he? I don't think we're gonna. If we could have got some sort of money for him, we probably would have sold him by now and looked to get a replacement. So I very much doubt that he's going to leave us personally, but football's a funny thing, so you never know. I think, do you know what? This is going to sound so weird, but I honestly do think it all depends on what happens with Messi. I never thought I'd ever say that, because if Messi does go, then obviously you're looking at Barcelona looking to not replace Messi, but get in a goal scorer, because as you know that Suarez is out. Anyway, that's another thing. But anyway, yeah. So I do think that he will stay. And the goal for me was just brilliant from back to front. It was Arteta ball, if you want to call it that. Old Wenger ball, Arteta ball, fuck Emery ball. But yeah, it was it was played out from the back beautifully over to Aubameyang, and yeah, the shot into the far post, into the far corner, absolutely brilliant for me. And you know, what could you ask? You can't ask for any more from your star striker or left winger, or whatever you want to call him. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, keeps coming up big at crucial times, which was, even Thierry Henry, that was an accusation levelled at him that he didn't perform on the biggest stages. And so far, Aubameyang seems to be doing that. And we'll certainly forgive one night against the Greek side. We all have our off days. But, fantastic goal. Another player I want to pick up on, I've seen him go through the chat a couple of times. And hi, chat. I see you there. I see you all. Mohamed El-Nene is a name that is popping up quite a lot in the chat today, and just wanted to get your kind of thoughts. I think we're all kind of sat here going, look, if a good offer comes in, he's probably available, and I think we all agree that midfield is an area that Mikel and the backroom staff, Edu, etc., are going to have to work quite hard to get some creativity into, because it is painfully obvious that that's a huge hole we've got in this team right now. But I thought he was quietly very effective today. He scored a very good goal against MK Dons, but, MK Dons, friendly, slow-paced, etc. But in a game today against the best team that the world has ever seen, best team in the galaxy, by far and away the greatest team ever, I thought he was very good. Very, very good today. Composed, never seemed rushed, had that sort of languid style that I think people have forgotten he has. And I thought he moved the ball quite well in midfield alongside Xhaka. So, if we did go into the season with him still on the books, wouldn't be that concerned, would you?
No, I wouldn't be that concerned, but I don't think he's good enough to start for Arsenal. I think you're in centre midfield, you're looking at Xhaka and another. You are thinking, what is it that El-Nene can do that maybe Lucas Torreira can't? For me, I think it's. I wouldn't mind if he stayed in the squad. I'll be very honest with you, but I don't think he should be sought as a midfield starter alongside Xhaka, because I don't think there's enough creativity in the midfield for that. And that was the one problem that we had last year. There was no creativity within the midfield. You are looking at Xhaka as the deep line playmaker, and then you're looking at, another midfielder next to him, the number 8, who will, drive on and drive into the box, dare I say it, and Ramsey-esque. So as much as I do love El-Nene, and I think he's a good squad player, he's no more than a squad player. That's all we'd have him as. Yeah.
When you say Aaron Ramsey-esque, the name you were looking for was Houssam Aouar.
That's the one.
Correct you there. Thank you. We all know that Ramsey was trash. I'm joking. Some jokes will never die. But I completely agree with you. My thoughts on El-Nene, or my brief take on it, is I think Lucas Torreira is a higher value and easier to sell asset. So if you get high money for Torreira, and that means that El-Nene comes into the Torreira role, i.e. backup, comes in for certain Europa games and provides squad depth, no problem keeping him. If it's a case of sell Torreira sell El-Nene and not make much money on him, I'd rather keep him around and sell a player like Torreira, who clearly Arteta just doesn't fancy for whatever reason. So that's kind of how I would look at that one. Just going back to the game, in terms of the second half, there wasn't a lot else to be said. I did think we created some good chances. I think Eddie Nketiah on another day probably should have put us 2 up. I thought his movement was good today, but he's just a little bit short of that killer instinct, I think, at the moment. Hopefully that will come. But I thought we looked like the better side. Second half, Liverpool were much more of a purpose. I thought they came out with much more of a purpose. They were stronger in the challenge. They were quicker on the break. Certainly caused us some issues, and they did duly equalise. Did you feel like the equaliser was down to a little bit of tiredness from our players? And when I say tiredness, I don't mean, it sounds silly to say tired. We haven't really done a lot, but it's just sort of that mental fatigue, in that we have had a slightly shorter break than most other clubs. And I just felt like we were getting deeper and deeper, and the goal was kind of inevitable at that point.
Yeah, you say, it's funny to say tiredness. I don't. When you literally had 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off, and then come back and then asked to run for 90 minutes, of course you're going to get tired. There's even the most supreme athletes in the world have to build up their endurance. So, and we haven't done that yet. We haven't probably done any endurance training yet. Like, we've probably just done ball work and passing and working on our shape. Whether, pre-season was as you know, Kris, has been the manager, it's all about endurance. Doing them long runs, doing bleak tests, doing runs uphill with weights on and things like that. It's hard to get back to peak physical fitness. I mean, no team really gets to their peak fitness probably till about November, December anyway, to be honest. But you could tell that we were getting tired in the second half. Nketiah's legs had definitely gone. I think Saka's legs had definitely gone. Even Xhaka, to a point, he's just getting deeper and deeper, and he was just popping off passes where normally you'd think he'd run a little bit, but he wasn't. He was just literally getting the ball and trying to pass because he was literally dead. But the goal for Liverpool, it was coming, to be honest. You could see Robinson was getting down that right hand side very, very often, and he just kept putting in crosses, and you could tell that after a while something was going to happen. And then their player Minamino, I want to say is
That's the one.
Suspicion of handball, but it wasn't handball, not at all. I think if you looked at it, I think it was our player that kind of maybe handballed it, to be honest. But no, it was just a switch off of concentration, unfortunately. But it happens. It happens. There's a reason why I guess Liverpool are the league champions, because on their day they can be relentless. They can offer you wave after wave after wave of an attack, and once you're tired and you kind of switch off just for a second, that's when they can punish you, and that's what they did to us.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Just a quick aside, just while we're just sort of taking a brief kind of pause of the game here. If you're watching on Twitch, firstly, hello, how are you doing? It's a platform we're having a little play around with this year. If you are watching on Twitch, please do give us a wave. And if you are a regular Twitch viewer, or you stream yourself or whatnot, you will know how the relevant ways of following us are. Just sort of give us a follow, and you'll get notifications when we go live, much the same as YouTube. So have a little look. I think at some point this season we're going to dabble with actually streaming via the Twitch channel for like the pro clubs and FIFA stuff and all the stuff that like Ellis does. Although fuck Ellis at the end of the day, so whatever. But yes, if you are watching on there, thank you very much for joining us. And all the people in the chat box, again, I see you. We'll come to your questions. Don't worry. I've saved some time at the end for those. Don't you worry. Just in terms of the game, as you say, sort of equaliser came, and at that point, I must admit, I'll be honest, I did sort of think we'll probably end up losing 2-1. I felt like Liverpool were very much on top of the game at that point, but 5 minutes passed, and then I felt like we upped the ante again. We made a couple of substitutions. Saw Joe Willock come on, Reece Nelson came on and added us that little bit of an outball, bit of pace up front, and I thought we finished the game fairly strong, and ultimately it did end in a 1-1 draw. And then we went to penalties. We're not going to overanalyze the penalties here, but quite a high quality penalty shootout, I thought, to be fair. David Luiz's penalty in particular was a nice little slot.
And Maitland-Niles one as well was very nice.
As well, yeah, more on him in a second. But ultimately, we make jokes about it being a trophy and whatnot. For me, it's not so much about the silverware. It's more about the trophy of the fact that we've beaten Liverpool in consecutive months now. And you put in the Chelsea and Manchester City results in there. I don't want to get over the top here, but I do just want to sort of get your thoughts on where we are, Project Arteta, because the thing that I find about today's game and have been finding about recent sort of articles coming out, changes of coaches, links of players, etc., and so on, I can't find anything that I can fault Arteta on at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sort of spread the word positive in here, because that gets dangerous when you say positive. But and yes, we'll come to that, Danny. Thank you. We do look good, don't we? As I say, I'm not coming on here and saying Champions League quadruple or anything like it in the next 2 years, but there's a lot of positive vibes, and you could see by the way the players enjoyed that celebration. And I'm sure we'll be mocked by other clubs who haven't won anything for 12 years and others. But it does mean something, doesn't it? These are results that you take into the season, and it's a springboard. And you saw by how quickly Klopp took his players off at the end of the game. I'm sure he doesn't really care, but you'd rather win a trophy than not, wouldn't you?
Kris, we're going to win the league. I don't know what I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. Like, you might as well just give us that gold trophy. And I said gold, yes, because we're going to win the league. I don't understand what people are talking about. No, in all seriousness, it's so Arsenal to go and beat Liverpool and then go and lose to Fulham on the first game of the season, isn't it? Like it's so fucking Arsenal, isn't it? But at the end of the day, look, we played the two best teams in England without a doubt at the moment, and we beat both of them. We won a trophy. We won 2 trophies. You know, positivity around the club is what we needed. You know, I don't want to harp back on to Emery, but we had a shit time with Emery. He ruined this club, or he took this club to a place where it wasn't nice. And Arteta's come in and he's, you know, people always need time. And people say, oh, well, Emery wasn't given time. But sometimes you can look at people and just know that they're not going to go to a place that you really want to go. Arteta is building something. Arteta is building this club. He's trying to get it to the place where he wants it. And it's going to take time because we're not going to get all the players that he wants this season. You know, let's face it, he's not going to... I don't think till next season, until you can get, we'll talk about this on the pod, I know we will, but until you can get Ozil off the books, because that £350,000 a week is absolutely costing us ridiculous. And he's not, you know, Ozil can't even make a friendly squad against MK Dons, and he can't even make the bench against in the Charity Shield. Ozil's not in the squad. He's not at all part of this team. So we need to get him out. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to leave. So you're talking about a year until you can get his wages off the bill. And then you can look at, you know, that another star player who you can afford to pay high wages to. Because if you're looking at our Aubameyang maybe getting 250k, you can't afford to pay someone else that higher wages. So you have to sort of look around. You have to shift people, and that's why we're talking about shifting other players. But I'm cautiously optimistic, I think is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Because, you know, Arsenal have always done this. Arsenal have given me hope before, and I've foolishly been like, oh yeah, no, I'm happy, and then we go and lose to West Brom on a wet Wednesday. Like, so at the end of the day, as Danny says, and I know he's in the background doing something probably naughty, everyone gets a clean slate at the start of the season. Everyone does. And we start the season and we go ahead. I think that Arteta he seems to be the right man for the job. Yeah. You know, ask me when we've lost like 3-0 to Spurs, and then I'll probably tell him no. But no, but in all seriousness, you know what? You got to give him time. And I think he's building something, and he's getting the right blocks in place. And it's not going to be easy because, like I said, we are financially restricted. 100% we are. But we have to 100% make sure that he's backed, and hopefully the owners and the people in the power to make the decisions do back him. Yeah. Yeah, Danny's just put a lovely picture up in the chat box there if you're watching live of Aubameyang savouring the moment with Emi Martinez, which is always things you love to see. Here's my take on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with being cautiously optimistic. I don't think there's anything wrong with with looking at things in a positive light. You can be optimistic without being over the top. You know, we're not sitting here saying we're going to win everything. We're not saying that we're the greatest team that ever lived. I mean, we are, obviously. But you can be cautiously optimistic. And the one thing above all else that I will say is it's fun watching Arsenal again. That for me takes everything else away. That's the key thing. You know, as long as we're enjoyable to watch, and there's things happening at the club, and you can see, you know, the always forward 14 thing of the FA Cup final. That for me that's the key. As long as we're moving forwards and we're taking steps in the right direction, you know, we're not going to go unbeaten. We are going to have some nights where we lose 3-1 at bloody West Brom on a rainy night in February. You're absolutely right. You know, we may well get humped by a Chelsea or a Liverpool. It's going to happen probably, but what you want from this club is it to be always moving forwards, and you want to actually enjoy watching us. And that's what I've taken most from the Arteta run, is that you can see something happening, smiles on faces, and good football's being played.
Before we take a couple of questions, and we'll crowbar in as many as we can. And I'll say when, people, because I know a few of you have put them in the box already, and I will probably miss them. So if you've asked a question already, save it until I say now, and then chuck it in. Thank you.
Check our chat, Kris.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I want to ask you about Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Ainsley.
Actually, as Danny says.
Sorry, yes. What do you reckon to this one? Because I've gone back and forth on this. I don't agree with people that are giving Cedric Soares a hard time. I think that's really uneducated, if I'm honest. I think that's a really lazy sort of thing to let, I think Cedric Soares is a perfectly good backup player. And by the way, he plays on the opposite side. So let's not get that involved. But the one thing about Maitland-Niles for me is that, and I know he came out after the game and said, he's an Arsenal player until he's told otherwise. And, he is. You'd expect him to say that. Good for him. But do you think we regret it if we sell him? Because
yes.
he's clearly playing very well. You do. Okay. So with that in mind, if Wolves come back with a £25 million offer, we clearly need to increase our midfield options. And we clearly need to raise money to do that. Why are we so caught up on the idea of basically a reserve team player? Because that is what he is going to be. Let's be honest. However well he's playing, he's going to be a reserve player. In playing out of position. Why is it we're so upset about this? It's just business. And maybe it's the player himself who actually has said to Arteta, I need a new challenge. He's not going to say that on BT Sport before anyone gets on me. He's not going to say that publicly, but maybe it's him who wants a new challenge.
Two reasons. One, and I hate to use this phrase because he is one of our own. When you have a player that's come through the academy and you send him, even with Iwobi. I mean, I wasn't Iwobi's biggest fan at all, but even when he left, I was a little sad because he's someone from Hale End. He's one of ours. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, there's no one in the squad that does the job that he does. We won that game against Man City because of Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Yes, Aubameyang scored 2 goals, 100%, and rightly so. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles did a job, and it was absolutely pivotal job that he did. Every team needs a squad player. Every team needs that sort of player that can come in and you say, oh shit, play left back, play right back, blah, blah, blah. One of those things. However, 25 million is 25 million. And as much as it would pay me to see him go, I would sell for 25 million. I wouldn't sell for no less than that. And I know some people will say, well, he's not worth 25 million. Well, he's worth 25 million to us. And if you ever paid the 25 million or you don't pay the 25 million, it's completely up to you. And I think today's performance, I think there'll be a lot of teams that I think Wolves are looking at it, and I think Newcastle as well are also looking at him. And I think people now, or teams, would have seen that performance today and be like, maybe he's worth that 25 million or 17 plus add-ons. Do you know what I mean? Like, be finishing the top. I mean, whatever team he goes to is going to be one of those teams we're not going to win trophies, let's be honest. But it will be, maybe if we finish in the top half, you get another million. Maybe if he makes 45 appearances or 50 appearances, we get another million or something along them lines. I personally wouldn't like to see him go. That's just my personal opinion. However, if a team does come in for 25 million, I guess everyone's got a price, haven't they? I would send him there, but for no less, even 20 million, I genuinely wouldn't send him for 20 million. And I know it's only 5 million, but that 5 million could be pivotal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just
if Ben Chilwell's going for 50, then he's worth half that easily. Isn't he?
Yeah, you got Doherty as well going to
that Tim Pop club up the road
to Spurs. Yeah, and he's not Wolves' first choice right back. So do you know what I mean? If he's worth what? Did he go for 20 million? I think it was
22, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. If he's worth that, then there's no way that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not worth flipping at least 25 million. So
English premium as well.
Yeah. So for me, I wouldn't send him for less than that. And Arsenal need to stand firm. They either need to say, you pay the money, or they say to Ainsley, you know what? Sorry, Ainsley, we've put a value on you. no club has met that value, so therefore you're going to be staying with us.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've gone back and forth on this one. I'll be honest. The player that Maitland-Niles was pre-Arteta, I'd have sold for 10 million last summer, no problem whatsoever. I'll be completely honest. The player that he has been coached into under Arteta, I think has become, has hugely improved. And I'll quite happily hold my hands up and say I was wrong, because I thought he was of a very average level. I didn't think he was as good as Ox or Iwobi before we sold them. And I was like, well, whatever. Like, as you say, I like to see our own players come through, but I was kind of like, yeah, no problem. But under Arteta, he's clearly been coached well. I think he's got his head down. He's knuckled down. He's taken on the idea of a new position. And today, clearly was the best player on the pitch. When you're getting praise from Chris Sutton, you've played well, let me tell you. So, fair play to him. And if he is playing for a move, again, fair play to him, I do think that he will potentially make us a pretty penny, and that might be the overriding decision. I think Arteta is obviously quite keen. The biggest thing for me, and this is where I'll draw a line on this one, is if it means that we can get in one high caliber central midfielder who will give us creativity, then we've got to do it, because ultimately we've got players in his position that can cover, and we need to raise those funds. If it means we can get two, then there's absolutely no doubt we've got to do it. So, I guess we'll see. We'll cover that in more depth on the podcast next week. So, if you've got specific questions, get those in. Right, we are hurtling headlong towards the end. Only got a couple of minutes left. So, Karl, in the new look ABW live post show, these questions that I'm now going to open the floodgates to for people to ask. I want you to answer them nice and quick for me. Okay, so first one. No username required. I'm glad you've come back, because I noticed your question earlier and I forgot it. So thank you. What do you think Nelson's role within the squad is going to be this season? Would you like to see him play more? I've kind of changed that around a bit, but you get the gist.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to need to, because I think with Ceballos gone, I think there's going to be a gap in there. I do think he needs to be a bit sharper, but I do think he's going to get game time 100%.
Good stuff. Orpheus Jones, where does Willian fit in? Left wing, we have Alba who plays, Saka, Martinelli. Right wing, we've got Pepe. Then there's Nelson Smith Rowe. If we carry on this formation, where does he play? For me, he plays centrally. What do you reckon? Yeah,
I was going to say that as well. I think he has been brought to play in that number 8 role. I think if we don't get Ceballos back, then he will partner Xhaka in centre midfield, and I think that's going to be his position to, run on, be that number 8, the Awar role, and push on. I think he's going to have a bigger role in this team than people think.
Yeah, agreed. Question from the guy with the shit haircut. Danny Ceballos, what do you think? He was tweeting away during the game, clearly watching Arsenal. I noticed that he did a lovely little montage on his Instagram yesterday where he's charging around and doing all sorts of skills, clearly putting himself in the shop window. Noticeably had his Adidas shorts rolled up, so the Arsenal badge was not exposed. But he clearly has a piece in his heart for us, and I think he clearly has a place in his heart for Real Betis. What do you reckon? I mean, would you still go after him in light of what's going on at the moment? Would you still be pushing hard for him to stay or come back?
I would, because we know what we're getting from him. He doesn't need to blood in. He doesn't need to try and work his way around the team. He doesn't need to, be nervous. He doesn't need to. He can just come straight in. He knows what he's getting. We know what we're getting from him. So therefore, he knows what Arteta's style is. He knows how Arteta wants to play. So just have to take time to try and fit in. So I would go for I wouldn't buy him, but I'd go for another loan move, because I just don't think Real Madrid wants him. But at the same time, if he gets to stay in Spain, where he's going to have sunny weather, doesn't need to, learn a new language, it's hard, isn't it, to try and entice someone away from their home country.
Yeah, I would buy him myself. Arjun Yadav, what about Smith Rowe, Emil Smith Rowe? I'll ask you a straightforward question, one word answer. Loan, sell, squad.
Squad.
Yeah, I completely agree. Radiant HD, Thiago, Partey. Hang on, Thiago or Partey, or Thiago to Arsenal? Is he saying either or? I don't know. Should we go with that? Who would you have between Thiago Alcantara or Thomas Partey if you had the choice?
Thiago Alcantara. I think the guy is. He's brilliant, isn't he? He's a. There's not very often I say this, but he's a Rolls Royce of a player. Everything he does is just absolutely brilliant. That pass in the Champions League final, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And even in the semi-final, did he have one in the semi-final? I'm sure he did. I want to say,
I mean, he ran the game, didn't he? Pretty much,
just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I definitely would take 30 million. I would 100% buy him for 30 million, 100%.
Yeah. Radiant's actually come back and said, I guess he's saying between the three, Partey, Aouar or Thiago. I would actually go, this will surprise you a lot, but I would go Houssem Aouar, not just because of the French element, but he's the youngest. He's, for me, the one with the most sell-on value, if we go down that kind of route, which I hope we don't go down. And he's the most purchasable of the three. I think Thiago is going to be very difficult to get out by Munich. I think Thomas Partey, I really like. Actually, I think he'd offer us a lot, but it's clear that Atletico Madrid want the kitchen sink and all the contents under the kitchen sink. Whereas Lyon are very happy to bend over, open their bum cheeks wide and say, yes, you can have all of our players as long as we pay the right money. So I think he's probably the one that's most likely to, or the most likely of us to get. Nick is trolling, so I'll just completely blank that question. Thank you, Nick. Love you. And I did see a question that was asked to me, which is gone. Somebody asked me who my team in the Farmers League was. You cheeky shit. Lorient is my French team. I do have an affiliate. There you go. Don won. Lorient is my French team. I follow them, as you will probably see from my Twitter timeline, religiously. I do have some soft spots for some other French teams, but Lorient are my team. Let's finish with this one from Orpheus Jones. Thoughts on our striker situation? Aubameyang clearly a left wing. Eddie isn't good enough. I see where you're going. Lacazette isn't someone we can rely on. Orpheus, come on now. Come on. I'd love Richarlison. Oh, good God. Okay. It's gone off a cliff at the end there. It's gone off a cliff. Taking aside that Richarlison thing, because just no. What do you reckon to our striker situation? Laka missing today. Eddie, for me, is your project player. He's the one that you want behind your first choice, or maybe even third behind your first two choices. Links with Odward from Celtic this week as they went out of Europe hilariously. What do you reckon? Lacazette stays or goes? And I mean, I guess it's obvious if he goes, we've got to bring in a replacement. But how do you feel about the forward line?
At the moment, it's settled. And I say that because there's a relationship between Aubameyang and Lacazette. Do I think Lacazette is good enough? I'm going to have to go against you, Kris. I don't. I think he misses way too much. I mean, what he does for the team is great, but that's not what we want him to do for the team, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The link-up play for me is brilliant, but I want him to be up front scoring goals. So it's almost like you could play him behind the main striker, stuff that he does, or you have players that run in behind him. It's all mixed up in here as what Arteta needs to sort out. But I don't know. I mean, if an offer came in good enough for him, anything above 30 million, I probably would take for Lacazette. I'll be honest with you. But the issue is who you get to replace Lacazette, and that's my main issue. For the simple fact that you are not going to get a striker who we want to score, call it 20 odd goals a season for 30 million, 35 million, even 40 million. So it's the replacement. So as much as I think Lacazette probably needs to just do more in goal scoring, because his work rate is 100%. His work rate is loads, but I just think his goal scoring just needs to improve a little bit. And if he does that, he's brilliant. But I just can't see us selling him. I can't see it because of who we get to replace him.
I personally love a season of Lacazette fully fit, because I don't think he's been fully fit for quite a while. And I'd like to see him under a full season of Arteta. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see him with all the other players coming in. And the biggest thing of all, again, I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna bang the creative midfielder book. But that for me that's the key thing. If you get a creative number 8/10 or a player that can move the ball from midfield to the striker lines, then you can say to Lacazette, okay, that's cool. We don't need you to drop so deep now. We don't need you to do all the creativity. You go up and score the goals. You do the fox in the box work, the Franny Jeffers role, and you let Aubameyang cut in from one side. You've got Saka, Martinelli. The list is endless from the wide areas. And you say to Lacazette, you just be our goal scorer. And if he gets you 15 to 20 a season, that's what he was doing at Lyon. But what he was at Lyon, we've covered this before, was a player who had Nabil Fekir behind him. And at Arsenal, he hasn't got that. And there's no coincidence to me that the best football that Lacazette played for us was when he had Mesut Ozil feeding him. And no, before anyone says anything, I'm not saying that Ozil's going to come back in, but I am saying he needs a proper supply line behind him. So that's my take on that one. Right, we are going to draw it and then there. I will just quickly answer Yemi's question because he did say about, he did come in late in the day and he said, do you think the rumours about Alcantara are true? I think they're true to the extent that he's a player Arteta would like. But I have concerns about his injury record and his age. And I think it might be a little bit of an inquiry rather than a bit further down the line, which certain of the players might just be a bit further down the line. I'll leave that tease there. Yeah, I'll leave that tease there. Right. Okay. We are going to wrap it up there, guys and girls. Thank you very, very much for watching. Today's show's been about 40 minutes. Typically, these are probably going to go for about half an hour, 35 in the future. The plan is we had a round table meeting of ABW the other night just to discuss some ideas. We've got plenty of fresh ideas, fresh content. I think that's the word. That's what the kids say, isn't it? Content coming your way this season. I know there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there that you can listen to. So we do really appreciate you tuning in to us waffle on. As we said at the start of the show, you can join the YouTube membership channel. You can join us on Twitch as well. You get some pretty little emotes. You get waves from me. You get nudes from... no, actually, nobody wants nudes from Anna. Scrap that one.
I've sent Danny's nudes with him in the bathtub.
Nudes, yeah.
If we've had to see them, then everyone else should have to see them as well. That's
true. In fact, if the money's right, we could just get Danny to have different characters covering his bits in the bath with each picture that everyone subscribes. So you get a different covering each time. Maybe that's where we need to go with this. But no, in all seriousness, thank you very much for tuning in. And we will be back. The plan is to go live as usual after all the games. There might be one or two here and there that we might struggle with. It just depends on people's schedules. But we will be here with a regular podcast every week, and we'll be live after every game as best we can. You know us, guys and girls. We don't let you down very often. But yes, we'll be back post Fulham now, I guess, in terms of the live shows, and we'll be back with a podcast next week. Don't ask me who's on because I got no bloody idea. It'll be like a raffle. Danny will put the tweet out and then we'll all come running, gnawing at the bit to get on the podcast. So if you didn't get your question asked today, let us know via a tweet and we will try and get it answered on the podcast. Karl, thank you for coming aboard. Happy days for us. Another trophy in the bank. Thank you very much for your
Kris, another major trophy. This not... Come on now.
Major trophy, absolutely. Yes, the Mourinho trophy cabinet grows ever bigger. But yes, thank you very much for your time, sir. I'm sure we will speak again very soon.
Au revoir.
Danny, thank you for pressing the buttons. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Sorry about my shit hair. Can't have it all, can you? Up the Arsenal. Speak soon.